So now the next chapter, the renunciation of Kardama Muni. So then what happens next? After hearing from Devahuti, then what did Kardama Muni reply? Maitreya Uvacha Nirvedavadinim Manorduhitaram Muni Dayalu Shalinim Aha Shukla Bhi Vyahritam Smaran.
Recalling the words of Lord Vishnu, the merciful sage Kardama replied as follows to Swayambhu Manu's praiseworthy daughter, Devahuti, who was speaking words full of renunciation.
Yeah. Shukla Abhivyahrutam Smaran. Having remembered the words of Lord Vishnu, here is referred as Shukla, that he will also be taking birth through Kardama and Devahuti. So remembering that, so Dayalu Shalini Maha Manur Duhitaram Muni Nirveda Vadinam. So she's actually talking about Nirveda Vadinam. So it's basically she's talking about renunciation. Now she is interested in renunciation. She is expecting that from her husband. Then remembering that Lord is going to take birth as their son. So Kardama replies, Rushi Ruvacha Makido Rajaputritam Atmanam Prati Anindite Bhagavamste Ksharo Garbham Adurat Samprapashyate.
The sage said, "Do not be disappointed with yourself, O princess. You are actually praiseworthy. The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead will shortly enter your womb as your son."
Yeah, wherein he says that Ma Kido Rajaputrinam. Oh Rajaputri, kindly do not be sad, do not lament for this. Atma Nam Prati Anindate, and kindly do not criticize yourself. Bhagavamste Ksharo Garbham. Aksharo, Bhagavamste Akshara. The Supreme Lord, the infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead, very soon, Adurat, not after long distance, Adurat means not after long while, very soon will enter into your womb. Sam Prapashyate. The Supreme Lord will manifest very soon as your son through your womb. Here Kardama Muni is actually encouraging Devahuti. So don't worry that you are not materially attached, you have lost your opportunity, not like that. Your worship is so great that the Supreme Lord is going to take birth in your womb. Kardama Muni encouraged his wife not to be sorry, thinking herself unfortunate because the Supreme Lord by his incarnation was going to come from her body. So it is like that. Dhritavata Bhadram te Damena Niyamena cha Tapo Dravina Danaischa Shraddaya Cheshwaram Bhaja.
You have undertaken sacred vows. God will bless you. Hence, you should worship the Lord with great faith through sensory control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts of your money in charity.
Yeah. Here he will tell the suitable way how to attain the Supreme Lord as their son. Dhrita Vratasi. Please undertake some determined vows. Bhadraante, there let there be auspicious unto you. What kind of austerities, what kind of vratas they is supposed to follow? Damena, with sense control. Niyamena, with mind control. Following so many rules and regulations. Tapo, performing some austerities. Dravina Danaischa, by giving charities of the grains to all different people. Shraddaya Cheshwaram Bhaje, with complete faith, worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So following all these things, Damena, Niyamena, Tapa, Dravina Dana, with faith one should worship the Supreme Lord. If you worship the Supreme Lord, then the Supreme Lord very soon will appear as your son. So this verse is a perfect, what we can say, commandment for Garbhadana Sanskar. How to practice this Garbhadana Sanskar. How to invite the Supreme Lord as one's son. Of course, the similar kind of instructions will be given by Kashyapa to his two wives. in the future cantos. In the 8th canto, when Aditi was feeling very sad that the Devatas were defeated by Asuras and they have no position, no post, she was worrying about her sons. They are wandering place to place without any place to stay, etc. That time, the Kashyapa instructs Aditi to perform Payovrata ceremony. So she performed the Payovrata ceremony. As a result of that, Supreme Lord appeared as Vamana to Aditi. And in 6th canto, at the end, when Diti also approaches her husband with an intention to kill the killer of her 2 sons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, were killed by Lord Vishnu for the sake of Indra. Indra is the son of her co-wife, Aditi. So in order to kill Indra, she wanted to have a son. With that intention, she approaches her husband, Kashyapa. And Kashyapa, understanding the evil nature of Aditi, he tricks, he gives her the prescriptions of Pumshavana Vrata, so that eventually she might change her mind, thinking like that. He tells her to worship Lord Vishnu, following so many rules and regulations. If at all she fails to perform any rule, any instruction, her vrata will be fail. So that eventually, because she worshipped Lord Vishnu very systematically, very diligently for 1 complete year, so she gave birth to 49 Marus, who eventually became the Devatas, the subordinates of Indra. That was the whole story. Such kind of instructions are there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that in order to beget good children, so what kind of procedure one should follow. So this is one of that instruction. So this can be considered as a proper protocol for practicing Garbhadana Sanskar in that sense. In order to spiritually advance or to achieve the mercy of the Lord, one must be self-controlled in the following manner. One must be restrained in sense gratification and must follow the rules and regulations of religious principles. Without austerity and penance and without sacrificing one's riches, one cannot achieve the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Of course, in the case of wife and husband who are with a desire to beget children, it is like that. But in the case of people in general, in order to get bhakti, also one should follow all the same rules and regulations. Bhakti as their child. So in that way. Kardama Muni advises his wife, you have to fully engage in devotional service with austerity and penances, following the religious principles and giving charity. Then the Supreme Lord will be pleased with you and will come as your son. So this is how one should take care of oneself in one's spiritual progress. So all these things are very much essential for a sadhaka. Damena, Niyamena, Tapo, Dravina, Danena, and the more important among all of them is Shraddhaya Ishwaram Bhaja. One should worship Lord Ishwara, the Supreme Lord, with complete faith. When all these things are there, then one can attain spiritual perfection. Are there any other examples that a husband instructing the wife practice such kind of rules for begetting a good children?
Brahma telling Swayambhu Manu?
For begetting children? Brahma told Swayambhu Manu means take care of the living entities, that will be a service to the Supreme Lord. So, but not for children. Okay. It's okay. Satvayardaditam shuklo vitanvanmamakam yasha chetate hridayagrantim audaryo brahma bhavana.
Becoming your son and teaching knowledge of Brahman.
So herein she says that Sa Tvayardi Tvayardadi Ta Shuklo Vitanvan Mamakam Yasha. So if you perform this particular worshiping the Supreme Lord along with Damena, Yaman, Niyamena, and Tapo, and Dravina Danena, when you do all these things, the Supreme Lord will appear as our son, increasing my fame. He will increase my fame. Mamakam Yasha. And in relation to you, Chetate Hridaya Granthim Brahma Bhavana. He will destroy that Hridaya Granthi that is there in your heart by speaking about Brahma Bhavana. By speaking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he will destroy that Hridaya Granthi, that knot of material existence that is there within your heart will be completely destroyed. There is one verse in the first canto, second chapter about cutting off the Hridaya Granthi. Anyone can remember?
Vidyate hridaya granthi chidyate sarva samshaya drishtva atmanishware. Something like that, I think.
Yeah. Vidyate Hridaya Granthi Chidyante Sarva Samshaya Shiyante Chasya Karmani Drishta Evatmaneshware. If one practices bhakti very seriously, as it is indicated in the previous verses, then what happens? Vidyate Hridaya Granthi. Whatever knot in the heart that is there, that is cut into pieces, Chidyante Sarva Samshaya. Any doubts about the perfection of one's life by practicing bhakti, they are all removed. Shiyante Chasya Karmani. Any future bondage by one's karmas, they are all destroyed. Drishta Evatmaneshware. Eventually, one will be able to see the Supreme Lord in person. So that is the benefit, that is the result by the practice of bhakti. So that is what will happen to you. So you are asking about fearlessness. I will not give you fearlessness directly, but through me, the Lord already promised that we will get a son. He will destroy the Hridaya Granthi that is there in your heart. He will destroy your ignorance. He will enable you to attain perfection of life. That is what Kardama Muni indicates here in this verse. Srila Prabhupada writes, when the Supreme Lord comes to disseminate spiritual knowledge for the benefit of all people, he generally descends as the son of a devotee, being pleased by the devotee's devotional service. The Supreme Lord is so pleased with Kardama Muni's devotional service and devotee's devotional service, he agreed to become their son. So that is what is being glorified here in this particular verse. The Supreme Lord is the father of everyone. No one therefore is his father, but by his inconceivable energy he accepts some of the devotees as his parents and descendants. It is explained here that spiritual knowledge vanquishes the knot of the heart. Matter and spirit are knotted by false ego. The false ego tightly binds the matter and spirit together. This identification of oneself with matter, which is called Hridaya Granthi, exists for all conditioned souls, and it becomes more and more tightened when there is too much affection for sex life. The explanation was given by Lord Rishabha to his sons that this material world is an atmosphere of attraction between male and female. That attraction takes shape of knot in the heart, and by material affection it becomes still more tight. For people who anchor after material possessions, society, friendship and love, this knot of affection becomes very strong. So that is what is indicated here by Kardama Muni. So this is mentioned in Bhagavatam 5th canto, 5th chapter, verse number 8, which our Rishabdev was teaching to his sons, 100 sons, wherein he says that Pumsha Sriya Maituni Bhavameta Tayor Mitu Hridaya Granthi Maho Ato Gruha Kshetra Sutapta Vittayer Janasya Moho Aham Mameti. So the problem with this Hridaya Granthi is that by having attraction towards opposite sex, both wife and husband are tightly bound with in this material world by this Hridaya Granthi. How does that Hridaya Granthi manifest? Here, according to Lord Rishabdev, he says that the Hridaya Granthi will manifest in the form of Griha. Basically, after marriage, they need a house. Kshetra, they need some land to maintain themselves. In the old age, it was Kshetra land, but nowadays it is job. Suta, there eventually there will be children, and there will be relatives will be keep coming and going. There will be functions, attending all these things with their earning some money and saving in the bank, etc., etc. So because of all these things, oneself, wife, home, land or job, children, relatives, and my bank balance, money, etc. Janasya moho ayam mameti. The people are put under illusion by the thought process of aham and mama iti. It's me and it is mine. This is me and the wife is mine, the children are mine, the home is mine, the land is mine, the bank balance is mine, like that. This is the concept with which the people will live in this material world. So that is what is indicated. So that's how a person is bound in this material world. For people who anchor after material possession, society, friendship, and love, this knot of affection becomes very strong. It is only by Brahma Bhavana, the instructions by which spiritual knowledge is enhanced, that the knot in the heart is cut to pieces. No material weapon is needed to cut this knot, but it requires bona fide spiritual instruction. Kardama Muni instructed his wife Devahuti that the Lord would appear as her son and disseminate spiritual knowledge to cut the knot of material identification. So Kardama Muni indicated that the Lord very soon will appear as your son and he will cut the knot in your heart. So till then, worship the Supreme Lord with complete faith and following strict rules and regulations. So it is like that. So these are the few words that Kardama speaks, that Lord will appear as your son. In order to invite the Supreme Lord, may you please worship the Supreme Lord and follow these rules and regulations. That was the instruction. So having accepted the instruction of her husband as her life and soul, she continues to worship the Supreme Lord, following all the rules and regulations. So that is mentioned in the following verses. Any questions till now? Maitreya uvacha Devahuti api sandesham Gauravena prajapate Samyak shraddaya purusham Kutastam avajadgurum.
Sri Maitreya said, Devahuti was fully faithful and respectful towards the direction of her husband, Kardama, who was one of the Prajapatis or generators of human beings in the universe. O great sage, she thus began to worship the master of the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart.
So, following the instructions of her husband, Kardama, Devahuti worshipped the Supreme Lord with complete faith, who is situated as Kutastam, as her future Guru. So, it is like that. So, Prabhupada writes about the importance of Guru in the purport. This is the process of spiritual realization. One has to receive instructions from a bona fide spiritual master. Kardama Muni was Devahuti's husband, but because he instructed her on how to achieve spiritual perfection, he naturally became her spiritual master also. So this whole purport is all about how and why an husband should act as a guru for her wife, for his wife. So that is the entire chapter for this particular purport. There are many instances wherein the husband becomes the spiritual master. Lord Shiva also is the spiritual master of his consort Parvati. A husband should be so enlightened that he should become the spiritual master of his wife in order to enlighten her in the advancement of Krishna consciousness. Generally, Stree or woman is less intelligent than man. Therefore, if the husband is intelligent enough, the woman gets a great opportunity for spiritual enlightenment. Here it is clearly said, Samyak Shraddhaya, that with great faith, one should receive knowledge from the spiritual master and with great faith execute the performance of service. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Tagore in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita has especially stressed the instruction of the spiritual master. One should accept the instruction of the spiritual master as one's life and soul. Whether one is liberator or non-liberator, one should execute the instruction of the spiritual master with great faith. It is also stated that the Lord is situated in everyone's heart as one's Chaitya Guru, etc. So basically, which was the verse that Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Tagore referring from Bhagavad Gita, that he especially stressed the instruction of the spiritual master. What was the verse from Bhagavad Gita? Hare Krishna. Anyone can identify that verse that Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Tagore identifies that instruction of the spiritual master should be taken as one's life and soul. Even Prabhupada was very happy when he read that verse and he made that verse as a life's mission. That's why Prabhupada traveled to West following the one order of Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Tagore that please preach the message of Lord Chaitanya in English language. I'll give you a clue. This verse is from second chapter only, Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. Not the verse from chapter 4, Tadvidi Pranipatena Paripashna Sevaya, not that verse, but another verse from chapter 2 only.
What is the first word, Prabhu?
If that is told, what is the use?
It is not Karpanya Dosha, na?
No, not that verse.
So give us the first word as Binit Prabhu said.
Verse number 241.
Oh, Vyavasatmika Buddhir.
Full verse.
Ekeham Kurunandana. Bahushakhahi Anantasya Buddhyo something something.
So meaning?
Oh, one should be doing his work with one pointed focus. That is Vyavasatmika Buddhir, Ekeham Kurunandana. And then if it is like many focus, then it kind of gets deviated. In gist, I'm saying, Prabhu.
Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana bahushakai anantasya buddhayo vyavasayana. So if one has multiple goals in life, so one will not be able to focus on any one of them. Instead, vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. One should make one's life like one-pointed in order to attain the one-pointed goal. That is the whole thing. So for this verse, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says that one should make the instruction of the spiritual master as one's life goal. So one should perform all the activities with that single pointed focus or attention to achieve that goal or to follow that instruction of the spiritual master. So that was the commentary given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Tagore to this verse. And Srila Prabhupada was very happy and he would keep repeat this verse whenever he talked to his friends and co-god brothers, etc. So that was the indication here. One does not have to seek the Lord outside. He is already there in the heart as Paramatma. One simply has to concentrate on one's worship in good faith as instructed by the bona fide spiritual master, and one's effort will come out successfully. It is also clear that the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not appear as an ordinary child. He appears as he is. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, he appears by his own internal potency, Atma Maya. What was the verse? The Lord appears by his own internal potency, Sambhavami Atma Maya. This is a verse from chapter 4.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य
पूरा वर्ष
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत
what was the fourth line?
तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Okay, B.R. Chopra must be feeling happy that people will be able to remember my verse. There is another verse. Actually, that is not the verse which Prabhupada is actually quoting here. There is a verse just before this verse, a couple of verses before this. Anyone else? Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, couple of verses before this verse. This verse is 4:6. I think maybe 4:5 or 4:4. Yes, Hare Krishna completely forgot Bhagavad Gita, which is like our bread and butter.
अजो प्रसन्न ययात्मा भूतानां ईश्वरोऽपि सन् प्रकृतिं
What is this verse?
स्वामधिष्ठाय सम्भवामात्ममायया. What
It's not there. I think आपने folio खोला लगता है आपका जगह पर.
Yes, Prabhuji.
No, that is not the proper way. You should try to recall what was the verse. For everything, if you depend on your device or anything you have, so you will forget our ability to remember and recall. We should try. Ajopi san ave atma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakrutin swam adhishtaya sambhavami atmaya. Ajopi san ave atma. Though the Lord is unborn, though the Lord is inexhaustible, though he is the Lord of every living entity in this material world, Prakritin Swam Adhishtaya, having taken shelter of his own internal Prakriti, Swam Prakriti, his own internal Prakriti, Antargata Shakti, internal energy, Sambhavami Atmaya, I will appear again under the supervision of my own potency, Atmamaya. Not under the supervision of Mahamaya, but under the supervision of Yogamaya. Lord's birth is not like our birth, being forced by karma. Instead, Lord takes birth in order to deliver all of us from the cycle of birth and death. So that is the understanding. Okay. So this we read. So here, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord appears by his own internal potency, Atma Maya. And how does he appear? He appears when pleased by the worship of a devotee. A devotee may ask the Lord to appear as their son. The Lord is already sitting within the heart. And if he comes out from the body of a devotee, it does not mean that the particular woman becomes his mother in the material sense. He is always there, but in order to please his devotee, he appears as the son. Though the Supreme Lord is always there as Paramatma in the heart of every living entity, but whenever Lord is pleased by some particular devotee, he becomes their son. So that is indicated here. So Lord is so pleased with Devahutis and Kardama's loving devotional service, he wanted to become their son. So that was the whole idea. Tasyam bahuti te kale Bhagavan Madhusudana Kardamam Viryamapanno Jajne Agnir Ivadharuni. Hare Krishna, someone read the translation?
After many years, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Madhusudan, the killer of the demon Madhu, having entered the semen of Kardama, appeared in Devahuti just as fire comes from wood in a sacrifice. Prabhuji, I read it. There is some time lag is happening again. That I think you are not getting it immediately.
No problem, no problem. Tasyam bahutite
Yeah, we are able to hear.
Tasyam bahutite kale. Bhagavan Madhusudana. So basically the Supreme Lord, who is called as Madhusudana, the killer of Madhu demon, after some time, bahutite kale, after so many days. So after Devahuti began to worship the Supreme Lord for many days or many weeks or many months, then on one particular day, Kardamam Viryam Apanno, Jajne Agnir Iva Daruni. Just like the fire is situated within wood, every wood has some fire stored within it. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is situated in the heart of Kardama Muni. And from the heart of Kardama Muni, the Supreme Lord transported himself to the womb of Devahuti. So he manifested himself in the womb of Devahuti in due course of time. So that is what is indicated here. Kardamam Viryam Apanno, having taken shelter in the heart of Kardama Muni through his powerful devotional service. Jajne Agnir Iva Daruni. He was situated in the Kardama's heart, just like fire is situated in the wood. So eventually, the Supreme Lord himself transported to the heart of, not to the heart, to the womb of Devahuti. So that is indicated here in this verse. Avadayam tada vyomni vaditrani ghana ghana gayanti tamsma gandharva nrityanti apsaro muda.
At the time of his descent on earth, demigods in the form of raining clouds sounded musical instruments in the sky. The celestial musicians, the Gandharvas, sang the glories of the Lord, while celestial dancing girls known as Apsaras danced in joyful ecstasy.
So as soon as the Supreme Lord entered into the womb of Devahuti, the Devatas became very joyful. And they played different instruments. Gandharvas sang and Apsaras danced. They were all becoming happy that Lord is going to take birth very soon. So it is like that. Petu sumanaso divya kecharair apavarjita praseduscha disha sarva ambamshi cha mamamshi cha.
Time of Lord's appearance, the demigods flying freely in the sky showered flowers, all the directions.
So here, when Lord entered into the womb of Devahuti, that time, Sumanaso Divya, the Devatas showered flowers who are traveling in the outer space. And Prasedusta Disha Sarva Ambamshicha Manamsicha. And in addition to the Devatas who are showering flowers, there are many other things like all the directions, waters, and minds. They all became completely satisfied. Manamscha, they all became satisfied because the Supreme Lord is going to take birth in his plenary manifestation. So that is what is indicated here. Tat kardamashram sarasvatya parishritam swayambhu sakam rishibir marichi adibir abhyayat.
Brahma, the firstborn living being, went along with Marichi and other sages to the place of Kardama's hermitage, which was surrounded by the river Saraswati.
Yeah. So understanding that the Supreme Lord entered into the womb of Devahuti, Lord Brahma, along with his 9 + 5, 14 sons, they came here. The 14 sons are Narada Muni, the 4 Kumaras, and the 9 other Manasa Putras of Lord Brahma, like Pulasya, Pulaha, Kratu, and Bhrugu, Atri, Vasishta, and all the other sons who are very famous, about whom we hear in the Puranas. So they all arrived to the Bindu Sarovar, which is surrounded by Saraswati river. Because Lord Brahma, Narada Muni, and 4 Kumaras and all these rishis, they all understood that Lord is going to appear very soon to the womb of Devahuti. They all came here to worship the Supreme Lord who is about to be born. Brahma is called Swayambhu because he is not born of any material father or mother. He is the first living creature and is born from the lotus which grows from the abdomen of Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is called Swayambhu, self-born. So any deity appears on its own accord. It is also called as Swayambhu Murti. So here Lord is Swayambhu, like that we hear whenever we go to any holy place. So it's like that. Kanchipuram, Tirupati, Srirangam, Guruvayur. So any other places when we go, we hear that, okay, this Murti is Swayambhu Murti. Lord is self-manifested here. Something like that. It is not carved by anybody. Something like that. Bhagavantam param brahma satvenamshena shatruhan tattva sankhya vignaptai jatam vidwan ajashvarat.
Maitreya continued, O killer of the enemy, the unborn Lord Brahma, who is almost independent in acquiring knowledge, could understand that a portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his quality of pure existence, had appeared in the womb of Devahuti, just to explain this complete state of knowledge known as Sankhya Yoga.
Bhagavantam param brahma, the Supreme Lord, who is also known as Param Brahma, Satven Amshena, who is also called as Sattva, and Satven Amshena, an Amsha of the pure goodness. Shatruhan Tattva Sankhya Vignapayati. In order to speak Sankhya Yoga, which is also known as Tattva Sankhya, in order to speak about 24 Tattvas, which is called as Sankhya Yoga, Vignapayati, Jatam Vidwan Aja Swarat. Understanding that the Aja, the unborn Lord, the Swarat, the supremely independent Supreme Lord who is going to appear to the womb of Devahuti, Jatam, he is going to take birth. The Vidwan Aja Swarat, Lord Brahma came there along with his other people. So that is what it is indicated here. So basically here there are two phrases, Vidwan, Aja, Swarat. These three phrases are actually indicating Lord Brahma. Brahma is actually all knower because he is the direct son of the Supreme Lord. He is also the unborn. He is not born like any other living entity. He is Swarat. He is also, because since he has the knowledge of the Supreme Lord, he is also called Swarat, etc. So those Prabhupada explains those things in the purport. In Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, it is stated that the Lord himself is the compiler of Vedanta Sutra and is the perfect knower of Vedanta Sutra. What was the verse here Prabhupada is talking about?
Vedaishcha sarvairahameva vedyo vedanta krudveda videhachaham.
Yeah.
15:15, I think.
Yeah, correct. So similarly, just like Lord Narayana or Lord Vishnu gave the knowledge to Lord Brahma within his own heart at the very beginning of the creation. Similarly, the Sankhya philosophy is compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his appearance as Kapila. Just like Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Lord Kapila spoke Sankhya Yoga to Mother Devahuti. There is an imitation Kapila who has a Sankhya philosophical system, but Kapila, the incarnation of God, is different from the Kapila, from that Kapila. Kapila, the son of Kardama Muni, is in his system of Sankhya philosophy very explicitly explained not only the material world but also the spiritual world. So basically, there is Sankhya system. There is something called material Sankhya, something called spiritual Sankhya. So both of them are called Kapila only, and both of them spoke to a Brahmana known as Asuri Brahmana. So the Sankhya system spoken by the material Kapila is of 24 material elements only. It only talks about material world. It ends with Atma. Atma is the highest object of worship according to material Sankhya philosophy. But according to spiritual Sankhya philosophy, it is either either Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagavan is the highest object of worship. So this is the fundamental difference. For material Sankhya, just Jiva or Atma itself is the highest object of worship. From the Lord Kapila's Sankhya, Bhagavan is the highest object of worship. That is the distinction for both. That's why Prabhupada writes about this in Bhagavad Gita, like atheistic Sankhya Yoga. There is an atheistic Kapila teaches about atheistic Sankhya Yoga, which is very familiar in this world. In Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, in relation to Sankhya Yoga, I think 39th verse of the 2nd chapter, this particular concept is explained. Brahma could understand this fact because he is Swarat. Brahma could understand that the Supreme Lord is going to take birth from the womb of Devahuti. So Brahma understood this immediately. As soon as he enters into the womb of Devahuti, he immediately came there because he is Swarat. Because he did not go to any school. He is called Swarat because he did not go to any school or college to learn, but learned everything from within. So those who cannot go to school, could not go to school, and they are called Swarat. Because Brahma is the first living creature within this universe, he had no teacher. His teacher was the Supreme Lord himself, who is seated in the heart of every living entity as Paramatma. Brahma acquired knowledge directly from the Supreme Lord within the heart. Therefore, he is sometimes called as Swarat or Aja. Aja means he is unborn. He directly appeared from the lotus flower. And his Swarat means he has no external knowledge imparting guru. The Supreme Lord imparted all the knowledge within his own heart only. The Chaitya Guru only gave him knowledge. So what was the verse from Bhagavatam that Lord gave him knowledge?
Tene Hridayadi.
Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. So that was the first verse of the Bhagavatam. Another important point is stated here. Sattve Namshena. When the Supreme Lord appears, he brings with him all his paraphernalia of Vaikuntha. Therefore, his name, his form, his qualities, paraphernalia, and his entourage all belong to the transcendental world. So, real goodness is in the transcendental world. Here in the material world, the quality of goodness is not pure. Goodness may exist, but there must also be some tinge of passion and ignorance. In the spiritual world, the unalloyed quality of goodness prevails. There, the quality of goodness is called Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. Another name for Shuddha Sattva is Vasudeva, because God is born from the Vasudeva consciousness. The Supreme Lord is always born from the Vasudeva consciousness. So in the 4th canto, in chapter number 3, there is a conversation between Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati. So Mother Parvati asked Lord Shiva, so when my father Daksha entered into that, not Parvati, that was Mother Sati, asked Lord Shiva, when my father entered into that sacrificial arena, everyone got up. Why you did not get up? So to that question, Lord Shiva is giving answer. He says that the purpose of getting up or receiving someone when they come inside the home is to receive the Paramatma who is situated in their heart. When we offer obeisances or respects to anybody saying namaskar or anything, that is actually meant for Paramatma, not to the person per se. So when your father entered into that assembly, I was in deep meditation, worshipping the Paramatma who is within my heart. The same Paramatma who is in my heart is also there in the heart of your father. So whether I worship internally inside my heart or in the heart of your father, there is no difference. But your father could not understand this. That's why he became angry with me. So like that, Lord Shiva tells. So in that context, Lord Shiva speaks this verse. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. यदि हते तत्र पुमान् अपावृता सत्वे च तस्मिन् भगवान् वासुदेवो ये अधोक्षजो में नमसा विधीयते. So this verse says that Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shaktam. Vishuddha Sattva is actually called as Vasudeva. The Vishuddha Sattva consciousness is generally called as Vasudeva consciousness. Yadiyate tatra puman apavruta. Because in that pure consciousness, Vishuddha Sattva consciousness, the Supreme Lord appears without any covering. Satveja tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo. Ye adokshajo me namasa vidiyate. So they say that. So in that Vishuddha Sattva consciousness, I was worshipping Bhagavan Vasudeva. I was offering namaskar to that Bhagavan Vasudeva, who is also called as Adokshaja, who is situated within my heart, which is in Sattva consciousness. So then there was no need to worship the same Paramatma who is there in the heart of your father also. So thus there was no need for me to get up and offer respects to your father as he entered into the assembly. So this was the answer given by Lord Shiva. So basically Prabhupada actually uses this particular phrase, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shuktam, many times in his purports. The pure goodness, the pure consciousness of any living entity is called Vasudeva consciousness. So in that Vasudeva consciousness, the Supreme Lord will make his appearance. Yadi hate tatra puman apavruta. In that particular place, Puman means Lord Purusha, the Supreme Lord, Paramatma, will make his appearance without any covering. So it is like that. So that is the meaning of Sattvena or Shuddha Sattva, the pure goodness. Another name for Shuddha Sattva is Vasudeva, because God is born from that Vasudeva consciousness. So like that, so Vasudeva, Lord of father of Lord Krishna, is also called Vasudeva, and Lord Krishna is called Vasudeva. And Vasudeva's consciousness is also in pure goodness. Another meaning is that when one is purely situated in the qualities of goodness, he can understand the form, name, quality, paraphernalia, and entourage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Amshena also indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appeared as Kapila Deva in a portion of his portion. Satvena Amshena, the Supreme Lord who is situated in pure Sattva, appeared in one of his expansions as Lord Kapila through the womb of Devahuti. So that is indicated here. So Lord Brahma knows that the Supreme Lord is going to appear in one of his expansions in the womb of Devahuti. So he came there to worship that Supreme Lord, to welcome that Supreme Lord into this material world. So this will be the last word for today's class. Sabhajayan Vishuddhena Chetasa Tatcha Kirshitam Praharshamaner Ashubhi Kardamam Chedama Abyadat.
After worshipping the Supreme Lord with gladdened senses and a pure heart for his intended activities as an incarnation, Brahma spoke as follows to Kardama and Devahuti.
So after having worshipped the Lord sufficiently in his heart, then he began to speak to Devahuti and Kardama. What Lord Brahma spoke to Devahuti Kardama, we will discuss in the next week. So before closing, just we'll read a few lines from the purport, which Prabhupada talks about the Lord's transcendental nature. As explained in Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter, anyone who understands the transcendental activities and appearance and the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be considered liberated. What is the verse?
Janma karma cha mediyam.
Pura verse.
Janma karma cha mediyam evo iti tattva deham punarjanmam naiti mam iti so Arjuna.
Meaning?
One who understands the transcendental nature and form of the Lord will never again take birth. In short.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thus, Brahma is also a liberated soul because he knew where and when, how and why the Supreme Lord is going to take birth. Although he is in charge of this material world. He is not exactly like the common living entity. Since he is liberated from the majority of the follies of the common living entities, he was in knowledge of the appearance of Supreme Lord, and he therefore worshipped the Supreme Lord's activities, and with a glad heart, he also praised Kardama Muni, because the Supreme Lord, as Kapila, had appeared as his son. One who can become the father of Supreme Lord is certainly a great devotee. So that is a understanding. Then Prabhupada quotes about a mantra from Padma Purana or something. In the Padma Purana, one Brahmana said that I don't want to worship Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan, anyone. I want to worship Nanda Maharaj, in whose courtyard the Supreme Brahman had performed all the pastime, played as a cowherd child. So I only worship Nanda Maharaj. I don't want to worship anyone like that. There is a prayer in Chaitanya Charitamrita that comes. So in that, like that. If a recognized devotee brings forth the Supreme Lord as his son, how he should be praised? Brahma therefore not only worshipped the incarnation of Godhead Kapila, but also praised his so-called father Kardama Muni. So how Lord Brahma praises Kardama Muni, that we will study in the next class. So we'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, you said that those doubts from the previous class, I can ask you at the end of the class. If you have,
Please.
Yeah. Just a minute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
So, Prabhu, right now the Lord is still in the womb of Mother Devavati, no?
Yes, he is still in the womb of Devavati.
Brahmaji is offering prayers in the womb.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Prabhuji, in the previous chapter, like 23rd chapters, verse 4th and 5th translation, it is said the daughter of Manu, who was fully devoted to her husband, looked upon him as greater even than Providence. So I was a bit confused, like that, as Devavati also was spiritually quite elevated, and then how to understand that respecting own husband even more than the Lord. Like,
because she is treating her husband as Guru. And here Daivat Gariyasi means not the providence in the sense, not the Supreme Lord, providence as the Devatas.
Acha, okay.
The Devatas who will be super in charges of our superintendent of in charge of our karma. So from that point of view.
Okay. And one more thing, in the next verse, like, no, in the same verse itself, that it is said that if the in the purport last 3-4 lines, it is said that if the it is the wife's duty to adapt herself according to the mentality of the husband, and that makes the married life very happy. So I was a bit confused regarding, like, there are some drunkards, or there are some, suppose Mataji has a non-devotee husband. So how to apply this fact that the wife has to adapt according to the husband's mentality? Like, if the wife is devotee.
These statements does not applicable in the modern context many times. So basically, here the context is, she is a Kshatriya, daughter of a Kshatriya, and her husband was a Brahmana.
Yeah.
So when she came to the forest after accepting him as a husband, she did not act like a Kshatriya daughter. She did not act like a Kshatriya girl. She adopted the lifestyle of a Brahmana. She humbly, she dressed very meagerly, and she dressed very appropriately, like a Brahmani wife, how she would dress. And she served her husband in all menial ways. She would never anticipated that I need to be served by so many servants, I need to live in a opulent palace, like that. She never complained to her husband.
Okay.
So something like that. If she would have married a Kshatriya prince, so how she would have lived, that would be entirely different way of lifestyle. So that is like that. She completely adopted the lifestyle of a Brahmana, humble Brahmana. So like that. That is understanding.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's all. Any other query?